Hi guys, today's lesson is on translating words into algebraic expressions. You're going to be working a lot today with a partner, so at any point that you and your partner need to stop and pause this video, please do so. Alright, here are the steps. First step, underline and identify keywords in the expression. We'll have plenty of examples with these steps here to go over. 2, write an algebraic expression. You're going to be reminded throughout the video here that the goal is to write the expression. There will not be any solving involved, just to write down an algebraic expression from words. Alright, so let's get into the examples here. First example we're going to give you is translating words into algebraic expressions with addition. What can addition also mean? Well, these are some of the words that you've already had that addition can mean. Sum, plus, increase by, more than. If you and your partner are okay, you can continue on with the video. If you need to stop and write these down, please press pause right now. Moving on, here's an example. We have the sum of a number and 6. The sum of a number and 6. We want to write this as an algebraic expression here. The sum of a number and 6, all right? So we're going to underline and identify keywords here. Right now I see the word sum is a keyword, and then of a number and 6. This is also keywords here, or keywords, in the expression. Might be some questions to ask yourself. Would you tell your partner now, what does sum mean? So go ahead and press pause and tell your partner what sum means. Hopefully that you told your partner that sum means addition, okay? So that's important that we connect sum with addition here. My next question is this. Tell your shoulder partner, what do you want to use for the, what letter do you want to use for the word number? Because it says a number and 6. Would you go ahead and talk to your partner about what letter do you want to use for the word number? The letter that I'm going to use for the word number is the letter N, okay? Now, this is important here. You could have used the letter X. You could have used any letter there for the number, okay? But I'm just going to use the letter N because that is the first letter there in the word that we're wanting to describe here, wanting to come up with a variable for this. So moving on here, write the expression. Well, think about this now. What comes first, the letter or the number? Well, I see here that there's the number and 6. That pretty much tells me what I'm going to have here. I'm going to have an N, and I'm going to have a 6, and then I'm going to have a plus sign. Look at what comes before and here. I see number. So that tells me that my N is going to come first. Sum means I'm adding here, and then 6 comes after the and, which separates the two parts there. And so I have now N plus 6. If you're asking, well, Mr. Alvarado, can I write it as 6 plus N? Yes, you can. All right? Yes, you can. Let's go ahead and go over another example here. 3 more than a number. Would you go ahead and pause this right now and write this expression, you and your partner, and compare and see if you both agree on it. So go ahead and pause it right now and write your expression for 3 more than a number. All right, moving on. What does more mean? Well, more means addition, okay? What letter should we use for number? Again, I'm going to use the letter N. Remember, you could use X, you could use Y, but I'm going to use N to define my variable there, all right, for number. So I'm going to use the letter N. If you are confused, think of a number and write it down and add 3. So with this expression, 3 more than a number. So like, let's say I want to come up with an example here of 21. Well, I'm going to think of the number 21, and it says 3 more than the number. Well, if I just made up 21 here and then added 3 to it, I would have my answer of 24. But again, we don't have to solve here. This is not our goal. This example right here is just to show you that you might want to, in this case, 3 more than a number, write down the N first. All right? So this is what we're looking for right here, N plus 3. 3 more than a number, whatever number, and then we're adding 3 to that, or 3 plus n. Either way would work. All right. So that is translating. Translating words with algebraic expressions with addition there. Here's what I'd like you to do. On the sheet of paper that I gave you, would you go ahead and pause this right now and translate any of those algebraic expressions on the worksheet that I gave you into algebraic expressions. So translate any of those words that you have on the worksheet into algebraic expressions. Moving on with subtraction here. We are going to translate words into algebraic expressions with subtraction now. Subtraction gets a little bit tricky sometimes here. What can subtraction also mean? Here's what it can mean today. Less than, minus, decrease by, take away, difference. If you see any of these words here, think subtraction. All right? So again, if you need to pause and write this down, please do so. If you and your partner are okay, you can go ahead and move on here with me. Here are some examples. The difference of a number and 7. The difference of a number and 7. All right? So just like addition here, what does the word difference mean? Well, I know the word difference, and I'm going to put a box around that, means to subtract. I'll put just a little minus sign right above there. Of a number and 7. Okay? So again, I might want to define my letter here, okay, or I might want to define number. What letter am I going to use for number there? And I'm going to say n. This and's going to separate here the 7, okay? So now I just have to think to myself, where am I going to put that minus sign at? Is my n going to come first, or is my 7 going to come first? Well, I see that the n is to the left of the and sign. So that's going to tell me that that's going to come first. And then I'm going to put my minus sign right in between the n and the 7. And so the difference of a number and 7 is written like so, algebraically, n minus 7. All right? N minus 7. Would you go ahead and try this example out now, example B, with your partner? Example B, 8 decreased by a number. Go ahead and press pause right now and write this as an algebraic expression here with this example here. So 8 decreased by a number. All right, moving on here. There's a couple of important things here. I'm going to put a box around 8 and write the number 8 right above 8. Decreased. Well, decreased tells me that this is minus, and then by a number tells me that this is n here. Again, I'm going to define this. If you and your partner are confused a little bit, here's how I like to think about this. Think 8 minus number. Instead of decreased, put the word minus, substitute the word minus for decrease, and now if I were to ask you think 8 minus number, well, just write it like you read it there. 8 is going to come first, minus a number. Okay, so 8 minus n. Okay, you cannot write it though, guys, as n minus 8. That is not the same thing. 8 minus a number. Okay, all right. Here's where the examples sometimes get a little bit tricky here. Okay, 4 less than a number. Would you pause it right now and go ahead and use this one as an example with your partner here? Would you try to write it as an algebraic expression? All right, moving on here. Think about your age in this expression. For example, 4 less than your age. So for instance, right now, start with your age. Let's say you're 14 years old. All right? Think about what 4 less than 14 years old would be. All right? And that might help you to write this expression out here. So 4 less than your age. So I'd write 14 if 14 was my age minus 4. All right? So start with your age and replace it with a letter and subtract 4 from it. So for instance, 4 less than a number. I see that I have 4 here, and then less, which is going to be minus, than a number. But now what's different is than a number there, all right? I'm not going to put my 4 first. Again, helping to think of my age really helps me with this problem. I'm going to write this as n minus 4. For instance, again, just like if I replace 14 with n there, if my age was 14, 4 less than 14 would be 10. But again, I'm not figuring that out necessarily. I'm just using that to help me write this algebraic expression there. Okay, 4 less than a number. You cannot write this as 4 minus n. Okay, that means something different. N minus 4 is what we want here. All right. All right. Again, here's where it gets a little bit tricky, and you have to separate this here a little bit. 5 less than a number. Would you go ahead and pause this right now and try to figure out what this is here? Or excuse me, 5 less a number, not 5 less than a number, 5 less a number. Would you go ahead and tell your shoulder partner right now, or whoever you're watching this with, what the difference is in words here between this example D and example C? All right, moving on. If I look at this example right now, I have 5 less a number. Up here, I had 4 less than a number. There's a difference there, okay? You see the word than was in example C. There is not the word than in example D. All right, so let's just focus on this. First off, most people don't talk this way. So 5 less a number, you're not going to hear it this way here. Think of this as 5 take away a number. This might help you write this down here as an algebraic expression. So again, I'm going to underline here my key information or key parts here, and I see that I have 5 less, I might put a minus sign and then a number here. I might put an n right above it here, okay? When you see it like this, if I were to ask you, think of 5 take away a number, well, now you're just going to write it down kind of like you just read it here, which is 5 minus n, okay? Not n minus 5, 5 minus n. 5 less a number, all right? And notice the difference there between D and C. All right, would you go ahead and pause this right now and go ahead and find the translate the words into algebraic expressions with subtraction on the worksheet that I gave you and your partner. Find those, complete those, and then you can move on to multiplication. All right, moving on to multiplication. Again, guys, I'm not asking that you have to write down every single thing that I put on here, but use this kind of as your guide today in your lesson here. If there's something that doesn't make sense, please pause this and raise your hand, and I can come over and help you or your group here. Translating words into algebraic expressions with multiplication. What can multiplication also mean? Whoops, excuse me. Multiplication can mean these things: product, multiply, times, groups of. That's where you might see these words here and have to translate it into algebraic expressions. And these words then mean multiplication. Okay? All right, moving on here. Here's an example. The product of a number and 10. First off, tell your partner, what does product mean? Well, I know that product means, if you haven't answered this question yet, please pause this before you move on to what I'm going to tell you here. Product means to multiply. Okay? So you might see a times sign, just all the signs there that mean multiplication. All right? So again, I might put a box around this or a rectangle around this and know that right above there it means to multiply. Of a number and 10. Again, what letter do we want to use for number? We want to use the letter N. Again, some people are going to use X, some might use Y. It doesn't matter as long as you define your variable there. So for instance, N is going to be our number there. Okay? All right. So the product of a number and 10, so I see here that I have times N and 10. Again, don't let these confuse you there. You see two letters here, X and N. Know that one is a variable for the number here, and 1 is multiplication here because it says product. So you can write it one of two ways, or one of three ways, excuse me. 10 times n, the product of a number and 10. Or you can write it as n times 10. Most of the time you're going to see it like so, 10n, all right? So if you would please, go ahead and make sure you get these down, and we'll move on to the next one. Whoops. Twice a number. Would you go ahead and pause this right now and write down what you think, write down at least two ways that you think you'd see this written translated into an algebraic expression. Twice a number. You could write this, and again, twice means 2, and then a number is n. So twice, you're going to think multiply there. So you might see here 2n, or n times 2, or 2 times n. But again, most of the time you're going to see this as 2n, twice the number. Again, if you're thinking, maybe think to yourself of a number and just take it times 2. All right? This next one. Now we're going to factor in here multiplication and subtraction here. 4 times a number subtracted from 8. 4 times a number subtracted from 8. And again, it can get a little tricky here. Would you go ahead and pause it, and you and your partner write down an algebraic expression for this? All right. This says this. Are you starting off with 4 times the number or 8? Meaning, when I read this here, are you going to put the 8 first, or are you going to put the 4 times the number first? If I look at 4 times the number right now, I know that that would be like 4n. Subtracted would be minus, and then from 8. And I should have wrote that as in words there. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I know that 8, and I'll put right below the word 8 is the number 8. Okay? So I have these three, 4n, subtraction sign, and the number 8. What am I going to do with those three? Where am I going to put the 8 first, or am I going to put the 4n first? Well, since you are subtracting from 8, you need to start with 8. Why? Because it says 4 times the number subtracted from 8. Subtracted from 8. That's why the 8 goes first, because you are subtracting from 8. All right? So my 8's going to go first, and then my minus sign, I'm subtracting from 8, and then I'm going to put my 4n, 4 times the number. All right? Again, if you need to write this down, please do. And please ask questions if something doesn't make sense. All right, on your paper right now, would you go ahead and pause this and write down any expressions here, translate any words into expressions on the worksheet that I gave you and your partner. Go ahead and press pause. All right, finally, last one here. Translating words into algebraic expressions with division. What can division mean? Well, I see here that division means quotient, shared, divided by, fraction, and ratio. Okay, I put those two there together. That division can also mean this. Here's some examples. The quotient of a number in 6. So I see here that quotient is going to have the divided by sign of a number and 6. So before the and, I have number here, and that's going to be n. And I have 6 now, which is just going to be the number 6. All right, so I'm going to use these 3 here in some sort of way. I've got to put them in the correct order, though, because it makes a difference here. All right, the quotient of a number. The number comes before the and, so I'm going to put n and then divided by 6. All right, divided by 6. Again, the division sign separates the two parts that we're talking about here. The number is before the and sign. That's going to come before the division sign. The 6 is after the division, or after the and, going to come after the division sign here. You try this one on your own. The ratio, of a number in 6. All right, moving on here. Ratio, again, when you see ratio, think fraction. And when you think of a fraction, most of the time there's a division sign there, okay, of a number in 6. So we're going to write this. We still have the same variable for the number and same number for 6 there, okay? But now, this isn't a minus sign, this is a division sign. Look how we wrote it now. N divided by 6. So you might see this here 2 different ways. All right. Finally, the last one here. 3 less than the quotient of a number in 5. 3 less than the quotient of a number in 5. Would you go ahead and pause this right now and try to solve this one with your partner here? Write it as an expression. All right. The 3 less tells you you subtract 3 from something, okay? Subtract 3 from something. 3 less tells you that you need to subtract 3 from something. So I'm going to, I see right here, subtract 3. Well, what am I going to subtract 3 from? Well, I see, and again, this 3 less would mean minus 3. And then the quotient tells me that I have division here. And again, I can write that with the division sign or the fraction bar that you see there. So again, this is minus 3, the division sign of a number in 5. So my number is n 5. I'm just going to write it as the number 5. But I know I'm subtracting something from 3. 3 less tells you you're subtracting 3 from something. Well, that just happens to be of a number in 5, and I know it's the quotient of that, and I'm going to write that there as a fraction, n divided by 5 minus 3, okay? So instead of using the division sign here, I used another division sign just as the fraction there. I put the n on the numerator and the 5 on the denominator, okay? All right. Would you guys go ahead now and finish anything left with division on that worksheet? And please make sure that the worksheet is completed now and that if you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.